Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks in single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. That's what we do here at Comicstorian. We help you recap your favorite storylines by bringing you a sort of motion comic. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, this story takes place during the period in which the Guardians of the Galaxy have disbanded, basically. Star-Lord is stuck on Earth with no other real purpose and has no idea what he's doing. So let's go ahead and get to this storyline. It's been a long time since Star-Lord Peter Quill has been on Earth. Things are completely different from the last time that he remembered it. He lounges around his apartment in nothing but his sweatpants, and he tells Abigail Brand that he has plenty more beers if she'd like to join him. Abigail tells him that it's not even 11 in the morning and he's already a complete mess. After kicking his feet off at the table, Abigail throws him her shirt, telling him to get dressed. The only reason that he is not in custody of Alpha Flight is because he saved the planet. She then hands him a cell phone, telling him that she has pre-programmed all of his known Earth associates, so try going out for once. Peter looks at the phone and he sees that he only has two contacts, Howard the Duck and Kitty Pryde. After staring at Kitty's contact, Peter decides to call Howard. For those of you guys who don't know, Peter Quill and Kitty Pryde were intended to get married until the entire incident in which the Guardians disbanded happened. Kitty went off to go join up with the X-Men again and kind of just left Peter there. After a short conversation with Howard, Howard tells him, "Let me get this straight. You're depressed and you're lonely. How about you try being trapped on Earth as a duck? Boo-hoo, Peter Quill, go to an art gallery or something. Maybe there's someone who will mistake you for a Greek sculpture, and then you can get all the attention that you so desperately need. Bye." And so Peter does just that. After listening to some old woman tell him about Van Gogh, Peter hears a familiar voice across the hall. When he looks over, he sees Kitty with a group of her students, and he asks her what she's doing here. One of the students says, "Ooh, it's the boyfriend." And Kitty snaps at him, telling him that Peter Quill is not her boyfriend. Now go look at some life-changing masterpieces while she talks to her friend. Peter nervously says, "Look, I know we broke up, but I'm stuck here for a while and thought maybe we could hang out. Nothing more." She tells him, yeah, about that, she's actually really busy with the X-Mansion being an actual limbo. And is that your gun? How did you get it past the metal detectors? Kitty walks off saying, "You know what? Forget it. I have a lot to take care of with real children." And Peter shouts, "Wait, I'm trying not to be creepy or anything." But a voice tells him, "You know, bub, you kind of are." Peter looks over to see old man Logan and he says, "For the love of God, how did you get past the metal detectors?" Logan tells him, "Look, you're raising your voice in an art gallery in front of children carrying a gun. You best keep on walking." Peter leaves and he heads back to his apartment trying to call Howard again, but a beggar asks him for some change. He says, actually, he does got some, but before Peter can hand over the change, the beggar says, "Actually, I'm fine. Gotta go." Peter sighs, telling him, "God, everyone hates me." And then Logan's voice tells him, "Actually, it's because of me." Peter asks, "What is this, part 2 of Big Brother Logan? Are you here to fight or something?" Logan leans in, telling him, "I've got no desire to knock you out, but you going unconscious is not entirely off the table." A short while later at a local bar, Peter sits with the beer, telling Logan that this isn't exactly what he thought it would be. And after several beers, he says that he's got to hit the can, he'll be right back. When Peter leaves, Logan sniffs the air and notices a man is about to pull a gun on him. And as he points, Logan jumps up, swiping away, cutting the man's arm off. Peter steps out of the bathroom, zipping up his fly, telling him, "You know, I used to go on space adventures," and then a glass is thrown against the wall next to him. He looks over to see Logan fighting against a group of thugs, and he jumps in the brawl, telling him, "Wow, I'm glad I'm trapped on Earth instead of some dangerous unknown part of space." The two start swinging, and Peter tackles one of the men to the outside, and another calls for some reinforcements. Logan jumps out asking Peter if he's up for this, and Peter laughs, "Haha, I live for this." The two jump in, and the thugs open fire, and a stray bullet hits one of the bystanders. Logan's eyes turn white with rage as he rushes at the group of men. Peter runs over to help the woman that was shot, but as he does, he sees a pair of headlights, and he quickly takes out his element gun, creating a pillar of stone, causing the car to crash into the side. Peter helps the woman up, and the cops surround Peter, shouting for him to drop his gun. Peter puts it down, telling them, "It's cool, I'm one of the good guys, like, save the universe a bunch of times, good guys." One of the officers grabs Peter, slams him into a patrol car, telling him that he doesn't care if he's Captain America. He's under arrest. The next morning at the Manhattan Criminal Court, Peter tells his lawyer, "No, I will not autograph your paper with the headline of me getting arrested." The judge bangs his gavel down, saying that he would appreciate the defense not interrupting Mr. Murdoch's closing arguments. But before Matt can get back to his statement, the courtroom bursts open and Abigail walks in, stating that she understands that there are vigilantes in the courts that they turned a blind eye to. For example, Daredevil. Abigail and Matt lock eyes. Abigail then steps forward, stating that she is Abigail Brand, Lieutenant Commander of the Alpha Flight Space Initiative. Mr. Quill here has saved the universe and is temporarily on Earth as a guest of Alpha Flight. And though they understand ignorance of the law is no excuse, he did help people. So please allow Peter back into their custody. The judge sighs, stating that it seems like every day there's something new pushing the boundaries of their antiquated laws. But fine. Mr. Quill, you are ordered to pay a $10,000 fine and contribute 100 hours of community service. Abigail then pulls Peter aside, telling him that this is the last time that she bails out his beautiful butt. 2 weeks go past, and Peter tells the receptionist of the Winter Homes Retirement Community in New Jersey that he is from the Golden Friends program to see Edmund Allen. The woman says that Mr. Allen is in Unit 207. Please do not burn down the building or anything. And Peter says, I don't have any superpowers. After heading upstairs, Peter knocks at Edmund's door, and Edmund pokes out, stating, just go away. I don't need you. But Peter lets himself in, stating that actually the courts need me here. So tell me about your days gone by. Edmund sits in his recliner, stating, I'm going to kill him. My son Greg signed me up for this stupid program out of his own guilt for not visiting. I'm perfectly fine on my own. Peter tells him, well, you're not according to the court, so how about we go out? A short while later, the two head outside, and Edmund asks, what are you supposed to be, some disgraced astronaut? And Peter tells him, not exactly, but close enough. I'm just a guy who likes adventure. So how about we go on an adventure? Edmund shakes his head, telling him, nope, I've had enough adventure for a lifetime. It just comes like a tornado and it tears your world apart. Peter tells him that he wasn't gonna ask him to go bungee jumping or fight Dr. Doom. I was suggesting ice cream or something. But before the two of them can go on, there's a loud crash, and Peter runs over to see two men robbing a bank who just happened to crush their own getaway car. Peter says that he can't stay here and watch. He's got to, and then a voice shouts, not so fast, jerks! Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, jumps in, grabbing and disarming one of the men, stating that she's surprised anyone would rob a bank in New Jersey. She's all over this town! Edmund says, look, it's a real superhero. We should just go. And Kamala grabs the other guy and says that the rocks are on the outside and there's no explosion, so how did they blow up the bank? Suddenly, a rock is thrown into Kamala's back, and Mind Blast shouts, it's easy when you Mind Blast! Peter quickly jumps in, tackling Mind Blast, and Kamala shouts, you should run! This is insanely dangerous! And Kamala leans in, asking, wait, are you Star-Lord? The guy with no superpowers and his trusty senior citizen sidekick who also has no powers? I'm literally a child who can't even vote, and I know that this is incredibly irresponsible. Go back to Star Cave or whatever it is you do while I take care of these people with my superpowers. As Kamala walks off, Peter says, that was pretty fun, right? And as they head back, Peter notices a bag of money on the ground. Edmund says that they should just leave the bag of trouble, except now the bag is gone. As the two of them get back to Edmund's home, Edmund sees that his door is already unlocked. Peter charges in to see a man going through Edmund's things, and he grabs him, but Edmund shouts, wait, that's my son Greg. After letting go, Greg asks, this is who you sent? This is Space Lord. And Peter says, actually, it's Star-Lord? And hey, I'm not the one breaking into apartments here. Greg pushes Peter to the side, stating, the manager let me in, since I am the one paying for all of this. And Edmund shouts, without my permission. Peter storms out, telling him, you know what? Father-son squabbles is kind of a trigger for me, so I'm gonna go. And Greg yells, yeah, you better leave. Peter turns back to argue with Greg, but Edmund stops him and tells him, Greg, look, if you want Peter gone sooner, then you're gonna have to give him a job at your little bar. The faster Peter pays his fine, the quicker he'll be gone, so how about it? 3 days later, Peter meets up with Greg and tells him that he's sorry he's late. He's used to traveling millions of miles per second without a funny stench. The subway system's been hard to get used to. Greg says that you better get used to being faster. My boss doesn't tolerate lateness. The two walk into a dark alleyway, and after being let in, Greg says, welcome to the bar with no name. Try not to get killed. 3 weeks go by with Peter having no problems adjusting to the villainous crowd that frequents this bar. After punching Jigsaw, he tells Javelin that he's sorry about that guy, and she says that she could have handled it herself. Once the shift is over, Peter heads home, and Greg stops him, asking, are you gonna go see my dad? If so, tell him this is for him. Peter says that he could do it himself, but Greg says that they should just stay out of each other's lives. Father-son stuff, you know? Peter grabs the trash, telling him, yeah, I get it. My dad left after knocking up my mom and then tried to kill me as an adult. Greg tells him, that's pretty dark. But, given any thought to what I asked you earlier? Peter says that he's flattered that he wants him to stay permanently, but once his ship is repaired, he's off this planet. As Peter walks down the alleyway to the dumpster, he tells himself, look, I'm finally making something for myself. And then as he drops the bag into the dumpster, he sees a shadow and quickly elbows hitting the person. Daredevil stumbles back, and then he jumps in, kicking Peter. The two begin to fight, and as Daredevil pins Peter down, he says, I got word from the DA that you were supposed to be staying out of trouble. Peter coughs, asking, is everything illegal on this planet? Element guns and garbage disposal? But attack a guy in an alleyway while wearing a mask, that's totally fine. Peter gets up and he walks off, saying, I will be sure to never take out the trash again. But Daredevil stops him, asking, where's the money? Peter stops, asking, what money? And Daredevil shouts that you and Miss Marvel stopped a bank robbery and the police are short $4,000. I've heard stories about you. But as Daredevil goes on, Peter walks off, telling him, I don't have to listen to this. I've saved the universe a bunch of times. That goes to the top of a resume, you weird ninja. As Peter walks on, a crowd starts to gather around Daredevil, and he throws him a card, telling him, if you hear anything, call me. And get a better job, too. Peter looks at the card and says, wow, That's some nice embossing. Later that day, Peter goes out to see Edmund and the two take a walk into the park when Peter sees an ice cream truck and says that he hasn't had some since forever. Edmund walks up and asks for 2, and as Peter reaches for his wallet, Edmund tells him, "I got this, don't worry about it." Peter grabs the cones and notices that Edmund has a lot of money in his wallet. When the two of them get back to Edmund's apartment, Peter tells Edmund that he couldn't help but notice how hefty his wallet has gotten. And in other funny news, it turns out that there's a fair amount of money missing from that robbery. Edmund stares for a moment and he says, "Look, nobody got hurt from me taking it." Peter says, "That's not the point. People think that I stole it." Edmund then goes into his drawer and he pulls out the money, handing it to Peter, stating, "I figured, though I already did buy some stuff like ice cream, so there's only like $3,200 left." So later that night, Peter calls up Daredevil to return the money, and Daredevil says that he will see to it that it gets to the DA drop-off point since his friend mistakenly took it, but he will need his name to keep an eye on him. Peter shouts, "Come on!" And then he sits down and says, "Fine, it's Edmund Allen." Daredevil goes on and then stops. "Wait, did you say Edmund Allen?" Elsewhere, at this time, a patron of the bar with no name, Diamond Head, wakes up asking, "Where am I?" A female voice tells him that he really shouldn't have been spilling secrets about the bar. "Thanks to you, I've been getting the drop on these jobs before them." She also realized that you can be more useful than just getting me information. Black Cat stands over there with one of Diamond Head's legs, telling him, "You're actually a resource yourself." Back at Edmund's apartment, Peter asks Daredevil if he's really supposed to believe that Edmund is some sort of supervillain. Edmund gets up from his recliner stating, "Cat burglar, supervillains are idiots." Edmund then tells Daredevil that he quit the game after he barely got away from him during his last robbery. He looks at a picture of his brother stating that he always swore that he would stop it if it got too dangerous. And Peter asks, "What, so you have powers?" And Edmund tells him, "No, I have a suit that came out of somewhere or sometime, who knew? It was my brother's job to figure that stuff out. All we knew is that it was something alien, and the suit could just go places, more specifically the boots and the gloves. One day when my brother was working on the suit, the men that he worked for killed him because he wasn't telling them his findings. So using the boots and the gloves, I killed his employers, and when no one knew, I took off the boots and the gloves." Daredevil says that he robbed people, and Edmund says, "Look around, does it look like I'm living the high life? I gave most of it away already." Daredevil shouts, "It doesn't matter. You broke the law." And Peter stops him, telling him, "Look, I spent years traveling through space, so I legitimately do not care about your laws here. Just leave the harmless old man alone and let me handle this. Shouldn't you be punching drug lords and not star-lords?" Both the men look at Edmund, and Daredevil leaves stating, "If you step out of line once." Peter then turns back to Edmund and he says that he thought that he was above it all, but all he did was end up shutting everyone out. This is what life looks like on the other side of bad decisions. Later that night at the bar, Shocker asks Peter if he could tell him about Diamond Head. You see, a few nights ago, Diamond Head left the bar and he heard a scuffle. When he went outside to check on it, there was no one there, so he's just worried. Peter stops him, telling him, "You're just worried that whatever happened to him might happen to you, right?" And Shocker shouts, "Yeah, or no. Well, I'm just worried about Diamond Head too. I'm complex." Peter tells him, "Fine, we'll go out back and check around to see if there's anything left behind." So Peter puts on his mask and Shocker watches and says, "That's some real Iron Man right there." And Peter shouts, "Oh my God, stop talking." Peter starts to scan the area and he finds some diamond dust along the walls, and he says that this looks like there was a fight here. Shocker asks if he thinks that dust is worth anything, and Peter goes on, completely ignoring that comment, stating, "The trail stops at the street, so it looks like Diamond Head maybe was captured." Peter takes off his mask, telling him something happened and I could really use the distraction. So, I'm gonna go save Diamondback's life. Shocker tells him, "It's Diamond Head." And Peter says, "Whatever." He walks back inside telling Greg to go over the security footage, and Greg tells him that that is not good for business. Peter tells him nope, or maybe Diamond Head, but let's see. As the footage plays, Peter says that everything happened in the alleyway where the camera is not facing, which means whoever did this knew how to not be spotted. He can, though, make out the license plate, so he's gonna make another quick call. Over at a gym, Abigail picks up her phone asking, "What, you run out of shirts or something?" And a short while later, Peter and Shocker head over to the address to where the license plate was registered to, and they see that it's a giant warehouse. The two sneak in, and Peter says that they should split up, and Shocker says, "No effing way! Strike the numbers! Just like when I was in the Sinister Six!" Peter says, "Yeah, and how did that work out?" The two head down the hallway towards a light, and when they open up the door, they see Diamond Head's head and foot on the table. Before Peter could do anything, Shocker pushes Peter down, telling him, "The duck!" And soon Black Cat's men run in swinging. As Peter fends off against the attacks, he sees Shocker taken down, and he runs over, grabbing his blaster. One man grabs a hold of Peter, and another swings a bat at him, so Peter hits the blaster, launching them both into the wall. His vision then begins to fade, and as it comes back, he sees Black Cat telling him that he's a pretty handsome renegade bartender, isn't he? Not so sure about the beard, though. Peter says that he'll take that into consideration, but who the hell are you? Felicia leans down smiling, telling him that, "I'm your boss. My name is Felicia, but people call me the Black Cat." Peter tells her that he would like to file a complaint with HR, and Felicia laughs, saying that she owns the bar, so. See, the bar business has given her some valuable information, allowing her to take over the city, and she's going to need him for a little something. You're about to break into the apartment of our next target, the wealthiest denizen of the little bar, and if not, well, you have someone close to you, right? Peter runs over to Edmund's apartment, and as he bursts in, his phone goes off, and Felicia says, "No, it's not the old man, but you will need him, because he will help if he wants to get his son back." The next day, Peter watches Edmund as he walks into the building across the street, stepping on air, and he asks, "So you just had these magic boots and gloves lying around the whole time and you never told anyone?" Edmund calls back that these things breed secrets, and those secrets cost him his wife and distanced his son and broke their trust, something that he might not yet get back. Peter sulks, telling him, "I would actually be surprised." Edmund walks back, telling him the only reason he's doing this is because of Greg. Can't he just call those superhero friends of his? Peter tells him that Felicia made it very clear that if she spots anyone breaking into Javelin's penthouse, Greg gets it, but he has a few ideas. Meanwhile, later that night at the bar, Felicia stands on top of it, telling everyone that she's afraid she has an announcement to make. People here have been selling the secrets of the individuals at the bar, which is a clear violation of the rules, but don't worry, she has dispatched Mr. Quill and Mr. Allen, because there's a traitor among them, someone named Javelin. Everyone gets up and surrounds Javelin as she tells them that they do know she's playing them all, right? All of the villains move in on Javelin, and as they get close, one of them has 3 claws shoot into his back. As the man falls, Logan says that he really needs to stop drinking at bars. Meanwhile, back at Felicia's warehouse, Greg asks one of the guards if he can bite of that sandwich. The guard tells him there's no way that he's giving him a bite of this $12 deluxe pastrami, and then he laughs. And then there's a thud. When the guard turns back, he sees his partner knocked out and Daredevil smiling through the shadows. Over at Javelin's penthouse, Edmund begins cracking the safe, and he finds an envelope, a small bag, and a book. Before they can grab the contents, the door opens and Felicia walks in, stating that she didn't want them to have all of the fun. She grabs the book, and Peter says that he doesn't get it. She's a master thief. Why get them to break in? So Felicia tells him that that's true. She could have done this herself, but she runs things in this town, and it's all about delegation. Peter then asks, what is it that she wanted to steal anyway? Felicia starts flipping through the book that she took. She says that Javelin is a good thief. She keeps up-to-date notes on how to break into pretty much anywhere that counts. Edmund shouts that he doesn't give a freak about her monologue. They did what she asked. Now let Greg go. Felicia leans in, smiling. "Oh, Edmund, I'm going to need an experienced thief to go through all these addresses, and I'm afraid that Greg is going to be staying with me a bit longer." Suddenly, 2 batons are thrown, knocking the guns out of the guards' hands, and Daredevil jumps down from the ceiling while Peter wastes no time punching out the guards. Peter grabs his phone and he calls Abigail, stating that they are clear, shut it down. And just as he hangs up, Felicia jumps over him and out the window, and putting on his mask, he says, "Nuh-uh, lady." He hits a switch on his belt, rocketing through the glass ceiling, jumping onto Felicia. He then shouts, "I've been stuck on this planet, arrested, I'm having a terrible love life," and Felicia then asks him, "Why do you even care? You're just a bartender." Peter runs in, telling her, "But I'm still Peter Quill, damn it. I guard the galaxy, including bars, penthouses, and people." As the two start their fight, a light is shined down on them, and Abigail radios out that she's going to assume that he wants to arrest her, right? Felicia quickly kicks Peter back and jumps off the ledge of the building, and as Peter runs over, he sees Edmund standing there holding Felicia. She screams for him to let her go, and he says that he has no choice. These gloves, they lock in and they don't move. She isn't going anywhere. But before Abigail can get to them, Felicia crawls up Edmund and grabs his throat, telling him that he should never have crossed the Black Cat. She then kicks Edmund as Abigail's men fire, and Edmund falls from the sky. Greg shouts for his father, but Edmund already passed out when he landed on the car. A few days later, Peter wakes up and he gets ready for Edmund's service. There isn't many that came to the cemetery, and as the service finished, Greg told Peter that he really appreciates him coming out. But please don't think that there is any more that he could have done for his father. Everyone knows that Peter Quill did everything he could for Edmund, and now he died thinking that Peter stops him, telling him, "Your dad loved you, and he would have given his life 10 times over to save you." As everyone leaves, Peter is given a letter. A short while later, Peter walks into Javelin's penthouse asking, "You beckoned?" Javelin says that she's glad that he came on such short notice, and Peter tells her that he must admit it's a bit weird considering he did just try to rob her. Javelin goes on stating that she's well aware of the position that he was in, wanting to save Gregory and sending James to protect her. She also has heard about his recent troubles with the law and the fine that he has incurred. She would like to pay him for it. As Javelin's hand creeps up Peter's thigh, he says, "Wait, are you trying to seduce me? Really, that would cross 3 things off my sexy bucket list scenarios." Javelin bursts out laughing, stating, "You're far too young for me." And a voice says, "Yeah, you just learned how to grow a beard, bub." Peter turns over to see Logan wearing one of Javelin's robes, asking if there's any milk. And Peter shouts, "Who's the kid now?" Logan tells him, "Milk's good for the bones." Which Peter yells back, "Your bones are covered in metal and you heal instantly." Logan tells him, "Man, you're awfully pissy today." And Peter says, "It's not that, I'm just not happy. Nothing about what happened makes me happy." As Logan goes on to make a joke, he tells Peter, "You got your ticket out of here. Why not just go endanger some other seniors?" Peter turns back and punches Logan in the face, telling him, "Screw you!" And then he pulls his hand back in pain. Ha! Metal skull! Peter continues swinging and beating into Logan until finally Logan grabs him and holds him in place. And Peter sighs, telling him, "You're not letting me go, are you? You just provoked me because you thought I needed to fight someone other than myself, huh?" Logan tells him, "Yep, you won this one. Saved the kid, saved Lynn, all paid up. Yes, there was a cost, but it wasn't your fault. You just need to learn to forgive yourself and move on, bub. That's just life." Peter hugs him, and after a moment of silence, he says, "Your robe isn't open, is it?" And Logan says, "Yeah, it is." Later at another bar, Rocket Raccoon slams his glass down, stating, "This one is so disgusting too." The bartender says, "You just tried half of our specialty cocktails. Perhaps our drinks are just not for you. Please leave since you're clearly an animal here on your own." Rocket shouts, "Look, my owner is in the can. I'm a service raccoon for an owner's anxiety, and you can't legally kick me out of here. So just give me another beer." Peter walks up telling him, "Thank God my anxiety is still here. And what on earth, and I literally mean that since you are still here, are you doing in this gaudy restaurant?" Rocket tells him, "It had a bright sign. Plus I thought that this was like Flapper Doodles and Kramer 6. Rocket then takes a drink from his beer and he says, "Look, I'm still not ready to talk to you. You really screwed things up." Peter tells him, "I know, but there's something I want to say though. I'm sorry. The Guardians are my family. The bottom line is I should have trusted you. I should have told you that Thanos is right here. I just didn't want to loot." Rocket jumps up on the table and he shouts, "Damn right! You think you could just waltz around like you're the leader and leave us all to be the king and then come back to be our leader again?" Rocket leaves the restaurant and Peter asks, "What is it I can do?" And Rocket looks back at him and tells him, "It's just time. Sometimes it's not our enemy." As he walks out, Rocket grumbles, "Of all places, he still finds me here." And then he looks up at Abigail stating, "Of course, it was you." Abigail walks in and the waitress welcomes her, asking if she would like, and Abigail tells her no, never talk to her. She pulls Peter outside and he says that he couldn't help but notice that nobody confiscated the murderous space raccoon's weapons. And Abigail asks him if he ever tried to take away garbage from a raccoon before, let alone his guns. Peter tells her good point, and Abigail's just switch teleporting them away, and she tells him welcome to Alpha Flight, aka her office. Peter looks around asking, "Does this mean that he got a job here?" And Abigail shouts, "Never. However, you can have your element guns back. The reason I brought you up here was to tell you that we've caught enough of the bro off to know this place isn't your home. Your home moves, it's got a hull, controls, and weird friends. So take your guns, get a ship, get those friends, and get the heck off my planet." Now that concludes Star-Lord's little side adventure, and oh boy was this a long story. But if you want to know what happens next, we've already done the what happened to Rocket Raccoon during this period, and then you pretty much go watch the video, Guardians of the Galaxy, The End. Because that's where they all come back together and they go back into space and their newest adventures begin. But the end of Brian Michael Bendis' run concludes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was one of my favorite Star-Lord spin-off series. Really wish that they didn't cancel it, but this is where it ended. Don't forget you can subscribe to this channel to get all of your favorite DC and Marvel comic books, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian. See you next time right here.